Chapter 5.
You are your awareness.
The epigraph from Abhinavagupta.
Having apprehended the transparent Lord, supreme truth, free from origin and destruction, all duty completed, he dwells here below according to his wish, because he has had the revelation of the state of the perceiving subject. Swamiji writes, like most philosophies in India, Kashmir Shaivism is both a philosophy and a yoga. It is a philosophy of salvation, not just an intellectual system, but also a method designed to attain liberation or self-realization. And so it discusses sadhana, meditation techniques and understandings that are useful today. I have said that Kashmir Shaivism can be summed up in one sentence. Everything is chitti. Everything is consciousness. The first Shiva Sutra, Chaitanyam Atma, which I have already translated as the self is consciousness, can also be translated as the nature of reality is consciousness, or everything is consciousness. Let us consider that for a moment. It may not be immediately obvious that everything is consciousness. Our culture is not predicated on that notion, but on its opposite. The normal Western position is that everything is matter. A scientist might say that at some stage of evolution, through natural selection and a random combination of amino acids, consciousness occurred. This understanding seems reasonable in the West, though under scrutiny, I think it is wildly implausible. Where does consciousness come from? How does it come about? Is it a mutation? Once there was just a couple of rocks sitting around, and then things started to boil for a while, and suddenly there was consciousness. Shaivism says that consciousness underlies all creation. It was there in the beginning, it is there in the middle, and it will be there in the end. It is the fundamental stuff of the universe. Now think about your own experience. Shaivism encourages us to move contemplatively from the divine experience to the individual experience and back. It says that if you want to understand God, then know yourself. If you want to understand yourself, then understand God. But always look to your own experience first. So consider your own consciousness for a moment. See how luminous it is. It can entertain any thought. It reflects sensory information. It governs your life. Consciousness is not ordinary, like a jar or a clock. It is hard for me to accept that it is the product of random mutation. Examine your experience of life. Is there anything apart from consciousness that you know?
So the point being, everything you know is mediated through consciousness. We assume there's a world outside of our consciousness, but we only know that world through our consciousness. So in that sense, you can say that there's nothing apart from consciousness. You can't know if it's there apart from your consciousness. You can't know that directly. So consciousness is the ultimate mystery, and I recommend everybody spend a little bit of time every day contemplating their own consciousness. Because what Shaivism says is that in your own consciousness, there's everything you seek. There's the satisfaction you seek, there's the joy you seek, there's the love you seek, there's the security you seek, there's the meaningfulness that you seek. Everything there that you seek in outer things is held within your own consciousness. You have to learn to discover the fruit within. So let us continue.
Self. That self is the conscious heart of the universe. Yajnavalkya says, pure like crystal water is that self, the only seer, the one without a second. He is the kingdom of Brahman, man's highest goal, his supreme treasure, his greatest bliss. Creatures who live within the bonds of ignorance experience but a small portion of his infinite being.
So just be aware of it as a light. Go on.
Consciousness is unique because every atom, every molecule, if you can talk about consciousness that way, replicates the whole. It is a hologram of everything, as above, so below. Shaivism says, as here, so elsewhere, as elsewhere, so here. Everything is contained in the most minute part. Abhinavagupta neatly expresses this idea by saying, everything is the epitome of everything else. Everything is awareness. Everything is included. Everything is included. Equally, the whole universe is contained in you. You may think I am a small creature. I am a separate atom. But in fact, the whole is contained in your awareness. I can understand the whole by understanding in a profound way the smallest part. Shaivism, the Trika, focuses on three main universal issues. First, it inquires into the nature of consciousness, the nature and oneness of reality and of God. Next, it talks about contraction, the material world, that which separates us from consciousness. And finally, it sets forth the means of sadhana, the method that liberates us from suffering and returns us to oneness. If there were only God and no tension, then we would be sporting in constant bliss. Alas, life is full of tension and struggle. We may feel that we lack something that would improve our situation, or maybe we feel we have lost something that was necessary. Both conditions create conflict and contraction. As soon as consciousness becomes contracted, there is suffering. If we are Shiva in prison. Shiva became intoxicated with his creation and managed to forget his true nature. The third aspect of the Trika is sadhana, yogic practice. The great Shaivite yogis developed a methodology to get rid of our metaphysical bondage. Supremely independent chitti, universal consciousness, is the cause of the universe.
Chitti Swatantra Vishvasiddhi Hetu. Supreme Chitti is the cause of the universe. We're getting to the heart of the matter now.
I am the subject of my universe.
So, I think one of the barriers to the Western materialists is that's a big stretch to think of consciousness as the fundamental thing in the universe, rather than matter. Is that hard to accept? You see what that implies? I think we've been so schooled in the other way of looking at it. What are the chances that God, divine consciousness, is the source and the end of everything? I don't know.
It's not an idea that's hard to accept, but to live in that experience is extremely difficult.
Wow.
I am the subject of my awareness. Shaivism homologizes cosmic processes with personal ones. Consider the world you create while dreaming. You create a universe within yourself that seems objective. You feel that you're just one character in your dream, and your world is filled with other people. When you wake up, you discover there had been no one but you. It all took place within you. Shaivism says that one day we will awaken from the dream of our waking existence to discover the same thing. There is no one else here but me. All this whole universe, is the play of my awareness. And even though I see many, there is only one of us here.
So that's true. You can be less anxious. There's no one else to freak you out or you have to impress.
I think that's much harder to grasp
Is
than
it?
everything is consciousness. What? I know,
That's why
know, but-
Bhagwan Nityananda is easier to grasp than these abstract ideas. But if you look at Bhagwan Nityananda, he's not, not fazed by the fact that there are other people there.
not at all.
Not in the slightest, because he knows that he is all that is.
It's all him.
It's all him, so why should he care?
Well, that's what I'm saying, you know.
So. I mean, you see, it's all going towards the same thing, but from different points of view.
Yeah,
Some people, these are just abstract ideas that don't resonate, but then you see a great being like that, living in that, you get it. Meditate for 5 minutes. And what are we even talking about here?
consciousness. You are your awareness.
Okay. Okay. So, I told the story of a woman in Los Angeles. I was working on her talk, and the high point of her talk, she cried out, "Oh, conscious being!" She called out to the universe. She wanted some grace, something to help her. And so, you are that conscious being. So let's turn within to our consciousness. And let's purify our consciousness. Go to the core of our consciousness where there is peace and joy. And let's find it here and now. Not later, not at another time, but right now, get in touch with that purity, that pristine, luminous, blissful consciousness, which is our true nature. And so we'll meditate for 5 minutes. Let's do that.